When this war started, you, alongside the rest of the Ukrainian government, you made the decision of we're not going to leave, we're going to fight for our country, and we're going to win this war. I wonder, now you've been on almost a global tour. You've met pretty much with everyone that can support your cause. What is the message that you're sending diplomats when you go on this tour?
You did not believe in Ukraine, but now you can see that Ukraine will win this war. Stand by us and share the victory with us for the sake of the world, because this is not only Russia's war against Ukraine. This is the threat that Russia and the challenge that Russia poses to the entire world. We have to stop them here in order for others not to suffer as much as we do.
And one of the things that you say, and President Zelensky repeats too, is that when you look at the strategic options right now, the only strategic option that works for Ukraine is winning, is a victory. Nothing else will suffice. When you say we got to win, what does it mean in real terms?
Well, you have to understand that this is the war for our existence, because President Putin does not recognize our identity. He does not recognize the right of Ukrainian state to exist. This is why we understand that we have no other choice but to win this war, because it's a war for our existence. And winning it means first deoccupying our territories, restoring territorial integrity of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders. We have no intention to capture anyone's piece of land, even an inch of it. But we want everything that belongs to us to be ours.
And of course, you often hear, I know this really makes you angry and infuriates Ukrainians when you hear things like, oh, but they should just accept a ceasefire, or perhaps just give away the Donbass, and this will put an end to it. What is the flaw in that theory, according to you?
One of the reasons why this war is happening is because since 2014, some Western countries.
What countries? You say some Western countries. Which one? You mean Germany?
Germany, France, to some extent the United States and other European countries. They were always pursuing the policy of half measures towards Russia.
Because they're scared of Putin?
Well, you know, every country is special. Every country has its own reasons to pursue one policy or another. But one of the reasons why this war is happening, it's because everyone was always telling us, Ukraine, you have to concede on this to pacify Putin. You have to concede on that to prevent the war from happening. Now, this war happened. It means only one thing, that this entire policy, Ukraine has to concede on something, failed. Doesn't work this way. So instead of asking what Ukraine should do for a ceasefire, for the end of the war, the question should be addressed to Russia, what Russia should do. And I would like to commend now both Germany, France, the United States for really changing their perspective on this. We still have some discussions, but in principle, they clearly understand that this is a black and white situation, and it's Russia who bears full responsibility for what is happening.
And Mr. Kuleba, you mentioned the French, and I have to ask you about this because over the past 48 hours, there's been a huge debate as to whether or not Emmanuel Macron perhaps suggested to Mr. Zelensky that he should give away some land in order to get a peace deal. Then, of course, the French denied this. What's going on here? Has anyone ever told you, and when I say anyone, of course, I mean global leaders, just give away Crimea, give away something in the East? Have you been pressured to do that?
I was not present in the conversation that my president referred to, in the conversation with President Macron, so I cannot comment on this. But before 2014, before 24th of February this year, when the war started, yes, there was some, they were not pushing, but they were kind of exploring the option of what could be the solution, what could Ukraine abandon in order to make a deal with Russia. But I want to make it clear, and I think it's everyone who is watching news from Ukraine and sees Russian soldiers committing atrocities, Russian army destroying our cities, it's not Ukraine to blame. This is an unprovoked war. Neither Ukraine, nor Europe, nor NATO, nor the United States provoked Putin to do what he is doing. And therefore, he must bear full responsibility for that. And looking for face-saving options for Putin is a simply false approach. Let Putin himself find a face-saving option for him.
And sir, I have to ask you, of course, about NATO. Over the weekend, we had Finland, Sweden applying for this. We've heard a lot of people saying, yeah, we welcome them. I'm guessing for you it's a bitter moment because you tried that path to, and you didn't get the welcome you were expecting. I hope, or I wonder, are you disappointed? Are you sad by that? And when it comes to the European Union, which we have here in the background, I mean, is this your best hope now? Is it the EU? You've given up on NATO.
I believe Ukraine is the best hope of the European Union, because look how the European Union changed in the last 2.5 months. In the beginning of the war, the perception was that NATO is strong and NATO can act and NATO can deliver. And the only thing EU can do is to express different levels of concern in public statements. And the war proved that everything is completely different. It's NATO that, as alliance, as an institution, can do very little, if anything. Allies, yes, they're very helpful. The coalition of the willing, who represent part of the alliance, they're very helpful. We will never forget how they support us. But NATO, as an alliance, did nothing. EU sanctions, strong political statements, economic support, financing military support to Ukraine. European Union is back on track as a driving force, as someone who shapes the future, who can shape the future of Europe. And it's Ukraine who gave them the chance to demonstrate that they can.